What if the secret to happiness was not getting more, but noticing what you already have? Epicurus figured this out 2,300 years ago. He lived in a small garden. He ate bread, olives, and water. He owned almost nothing, and he called himself the happiest man alive, not because of what he had, because of how he saw it. This is Epicurus, and this is his philosophy of gratitude. Most people think gratitude is simple. You count your blessings, you say thank you, you move on. Epicurus goes much deeper than that. He says gratitude is not a feeling, it is a practice, a discipline, a way of seeing the world that completely transforms the experience of being alive, and he shows you exactly how to do it. Let's start with what he calls the first great doctrine of happiness. He writes in his principal doctrines, the cry of the flesh, not to be hungry, not to be thirsty, not to be cold. If a man has these things and expects to have them, he might compete even with Zeus for happiness. Read that again slowly. Not to be hungry, not to be thirsty, not to be cold. That's it. That's the baseline for happiness according to the philosopher who spent his entire life studying joy. You already have this, right now. You ate today, you have water, you are warm. And yet, how often do you feel happy because of these things? Epicurus is pointing out something that modern psychology has only recently confirmed. We adapt to good things almost instantly. We stop noticing them. We take them for granted. The warm house becomes invisible. The food on the table becomes routine. The people who love us become background. And then we wonder why we don't feel grateful. It's not that we have nothing to be grateful for. It's that we have forgotten how to see it. Epicurus gives us the cure. He calls it the meditation on what you have. Every day, before you think about what you want, what you lack, what others have that you don't, stop and ask, what do I already have that I would desperately miss if it were taken away? Your eyesight, your ability to walk, the sound of someone you love laughing, a warm cup of something in the morning, a bed, a roof, a heartbeat. These are not small things, these are everything. He writes in his letter to Menelaus, "Do not spoil what you have by desiring what you have not. Remember that what you now have was once among the things you only hoped for." That last line. What you now have was once among the things you only hoped for. Think about what you hoped for 10 years ago. The relationship you wanted, the home you dreamed of, the health you prayed for, the peace you sought. How much of it do you have now, and walk past every day without noticing? This is what Epicurus calls the tragedy of ungratitude. Not that we are bad people, but that we are forgetful ones. We get the thing, and immediately our eyes move to the next thing we don't have yet. He has a name for this pattern. He calls it the empty desire, the appetite that can never be filled because the moment it is satisfied it becomes invisible, and a new emptiness appears. Status, wealth, fame, achievement, all of these follow the same pattern. You get them. They feel good for a moment, and then they become the new normal, and you are looking again for the next thing. The cure, Epicurus says, is not to want less, it is to see more, to train your eyes to find what was always there, the beauty in the ordinary, the miracle in the routine, the gift in the unremarkable morning. He writes, "Nothing is sufficient for the person who finds sufficiency too little," and then the opposite. "To whom little is not enough, nothing is enough." This is not a statement about poverty. It is a statement about perception. The person who can find enough in what they already have will always have enough. The person who cannot will never have enough, no matter what they accumulate. Now Epicurus moves to something that surprised me the first time I read it. He says the greatest source of gratitude is not things, it is people. He writes, "Of all the things which wisdom provides to make us entirely happy, much the greatest is the possession of friendship. Friendship, not wealth, not health, not achievement. Friendship. And by friendship, he doesn't mean the number of people who know your name. He means the people who sit with you in silence and it feels like enough. The ones who have seen you at your worst and stayed anyway. The ones who make ordinary evenings feel like the best nights of your life." Epicurus lived in a garden with a small group of friends. They shared meals, they talked, they thought together. He said this was the highest pleasure a human being could experience. Not travel, not luxury, not success. The feeling of being known and accepted by people you love and trust. How many people in your life give you that feeling? Even one is an extraordinary gift. He then makes a statement about gratitude and the past that I want you to sit with. The grateful memory of the past is one of the greatest goods. The grateful memory of the past, not the regretful memory, not the painful memory, not the nostalgic ache for what is gone. The grateful memory, the ability to look back at your life, at the hard years, the good years, the people who came and went, and find something there to be thankful for. This is a choice. The same memories can be carried as wounds or as gifts. The difficult father who pushed too hard also taught you resilience. The relationship that ended in pain also showed you what love feels like. The years you spent struggling also made you who you are today. Epicurus is not asking you to pretend that hard things were easy. He is asking you to look for what those hard things gave you and be grateful for that too. He closes his philosophy of gratitude with something I want you to remember. It is not the young man who should be considered fortunate, but the old man who has lived well. For the young man in his prime wanders much by chance, vacillating in his beliefs. But the old man has come to anchor in old age as though in a port, and the good things for which before he could only hope, he holds now in a firm possession. The good things for which before he could only hope, he holds now in firm possession. This is addressed to you. If you have lived long enough to have memories, you have lived long enough to be grateful, not for everything, not for the pain or the loss, but for the arrival, for the fact that you are here, having survived everything that tried to stop you, still breathing, still seeing, still feeling. Epicurus would look at your life and see abundance, not because of what you have, but because of what you are able to notice. The morning light, the familiar voice, the meal that was simple but enough, the day that was ordinary but contained, if you looked, everything you ever needed. Gratitude is not a feeling, it is a practice. Start today, not with a list, not with a journal, with one moment of stopping and really seeing what is already here. That, Epicurus would say, is the beginning of a happy life. If this resonated, subscribe. Next week we continue with Epicurus, his philosophy of friendship and why he believed that who you share your life with matters more than anything else. Ancient wisdom, modern minds.